Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
8:07 on the Morning Majority. Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman. And then for Mary Catherine Ham, we have Sherry Jacobus, a Republican strategist and a columnist for The Hill. Good to have you with us, Sherry.
Thank you.
And also on the phone, because, we reach out to the power brokers, the knowledge in this town, people who know smart stuff about what's going on. And key among them in Washington, D.C. is our good friend Tucker Carlson. How are you, Tucker?
Well, good morning. I'm doing great. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. Okay, so Cain train derails. There apparently is going to be an event, I think, in Atlanta later today where Cain is expected to endorse Newt Gingrich. Yeah. Your take on all of these occurrences?
Well, I think whether or not Cain endorsed Gingrich, the overwhelming majority of people who supported Cain would go to Gingrich because
right.
Gingrich is not Mitt Romney. And this is the theme we've watched for the last 6 months. It, if anything, become even more significant and real. People do not want to vote for Mitt Romney. There's a massive divide between the Republican establishment, the Wall Street people, the folks who finance presidents, almost all of whom are for Mitt Romney by default, and everybody else who wants a more exciting, maybe more conservative candidate than Mitt Romney, and all those people are going to Newt.
Hey, Tucker, let me ask you something, though. I mean, Newt has really been nice to Cain. He's been nice to all of his colleagues there, and we know that being a gentleman is sort of in the DNA of Mitt Romney, but everybody's talked about, Newt not being well liked, but he's really been good to these guys. I mean, he spent his whole life trying to get Republicans elected. Don't you think that's really paying off for him, not just with Cain, but maybe sort of goodwill among the rest of the folks in the party, especially in Iowa?
Well, I think that's right, and also I think, first of all, I think it's a strategic decision. I mean, Newt can be as rough as anybody in politics. Of course. Oh well, I don't mean that in a bad way. He's a politician. They make decisions about how they're going to behave in public that they think are going to help their chance of getting elected. There's nothing wrong with that at all, as far as I'm concerned. But Newt gets the Republican base. That is, I think you could make a pretty clear case that Newt's not all that conservative, but he certainly understands how conservatives feel. He knows their erogenous zones. And he knows that one thing that really bugs them is watching.
Really, it's a morning show, Tucker.
Beat each other. Oh, I mean that in the most platonic sense. Still, it's true though.
Oh, yeah,
he understands. He spent his whole life in the conservative movement, and he gets it. He knows they don't like it when you spend too much time beating up on each other. Newt very, I think, cleverly has focused the attention on Obama. And conservatives love that. I love that. I mean, most people watching the debates think, boy, how refreshing is that?
But you're starting to see this as it's becoming clear that it's a two-person race between Newt and Romney, and there's a good chance that Newt may actually be the nominee. You're seeing people come out. I mean, Georgia Will just skewered him this weekend.
Yeah.
Ann Coulter has made it clear she's not a big Newt Gingrich fan.
Tom
Coburn crushed him on Fox yesterday as well. So there are a lot of people, pundits and members of Congress, former members of Congress, who you would consider conservative, who are not very happy with Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, in fact, the three people you just named, you're not going to write them off as rhinos.
No, they're not.
Right? They're not doing this to suck up to the liberal media or whatever that trope is.
Yeah, right.
Conservatives throughout. No. These are actual conservatives, and they're looking at Newt Gingrich's record and things he said and lobbying he's done for the past 15 years, and they're concluding that he's not at all conservative. I think that's an absolutely fair conclusion.
But isn't he making up for that? Doesn't he make up for that, for the fact, again, with all that goodwill from building the Republican majority in the mid-'90s? And
I don't think he has goodwill, though, Sherry.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a lot of people who work with him who don't like him.
But I think they don't like him because they didn't get their way. I mean, he's his own best staffer. Yeah. You get the impression with Newt Gingrich, and rightfully so, that his campaign isn't coming up with the white papers, with those policy papers, and giving them to him to study. He's writing them, and he's giving them to his staff.
That's true. I mean, look, it's complicated. There are a lot of cross-currents here, as you know. On the other hand, if I'm from Mars and I'm just landed trying to assess the landscape here, I say, wait a second, this guy took an awful lot of money from Fannie Mae, which is, the boogeyman, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, I should say, they caused the economic meltdown. They're exactly what we hate as conservatives, and this guy was a lobbyist for them? Like, that's a problem.
No, he wasn't a lobbyist.
As a matter of substance. Well, of course he was a lobbyist.
No.
He wasn't a historian. I mean, like, he was a lobbyist in the sense that we understand that term in Washington. He got money in order to make entrees to people in power, to help influence people in their decision making. I'm not attacking that. I have a million friends who are lobbyists. I think it's an honorable profession.
Well, he's saying that he gave them advice that they did not take, and they paid him dearly for it.
Crock. I mean, he's telling us that he got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to tell them that their business model was bad. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Maybe they thought if they paid him a lot of money, they'd get a different answer.
That's not what he did. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, he says he was a historian. And
okay,
what is that?
Look, I like Newt. I'm not attacking him. I'm just saying I live in D.C. I've lived here for 25 years. Don't tell me that you're getting paid from Freddie Mac as a historian. You're getting paid because you were the former speaker and you know everybody, and you're carrying water for them. That's why you're making money. And, like, you're insulting me as an adult when you tell me otherwise.
I'm going to quibble with you just a little bit, Tucker. I mean, that may have happened. I don't know that it happened. He says it didn't happen. But a lot of times the people are brought in to say, okay, you know how the process works. What's our strategy here for accomplishing what we think we ought to accomplish? And I think that's not lobbying. That's advice.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, look, I have no doubt that was a lot of what he did. He's a really smart guy. Like, they would want his advice. On the other hand, we also have accounts from a lot of people who worked with him, including some I know who are my neighbors, because everybody had consulting contracts with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as you know, as you remember. That's why they never get criticized, because everyone's on the payroll.
Right.
And those people have come forward in print to say, actually, a lot of what he did was carried water for them. He tried to, help them on the Hill. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody here does that. It's very common. I don't think it's immoral. I'm just saying it's not conservative.
All right, we got exactly a minute left. Exactly a minute. I want you to weigh in on this Friday afternoon document dump from the Justice Department about Fast and Furious.
Well, in a minute, let me just sum it up. Eric Holder will not be the Attorney General by the time this election is held.
Wow.
He'll be forced out by this. There's no getting around it. He was responsible for, his agency conducted one of the most misguided efforts ever in the history of law enforcement, and he will take the fall for it, no doubt.
All right, we should have started that discussion a little
earlier. Under the bus,
another
one under the bus.
Good to talk to you, Tucker, as always.
Tucker. Thanks a lot, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.